In 2021, during the COVID-19 pandemic, cinemas across the globe were closed. Many films were delayed from their previous release dates, and there were practically nothing new to watch. However, there was one film that stood out among the rest, and that was Godzilla vs. Kong. This film, despite being limited in release, was a major success, grossing $470 million and becoming one of the most successful launch titles on HBO Max. It was also one of the most anticipated movies of the year, with the official trailer gaining over 100 million views on YouTube. You can tell that this film was full of hype. But what about my reaction to the movie? Well, it's still a very nicely put together movie, with some problems that hold it back from being perfect. And now, I'll be talking about it in today's movie review. Taking a look back on what made Godzilla vs. Kong an interesting installment in the Monsterverse. Before we start, don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoy it, and subscribe to my channel for more content. Thank you, and enjoy. Positives. Starting off, action sequences are amazing, of course, as they have Godzilla and King Kong going head to head in an epic battle. And for good reason. You can see the struggle between the two titans as one gets a harder hit on another. Godzilla struggling with Kong as he uses underdog-like tools to make the fight more fair. Godzilla overpowering Kong with his atomic breath before dropping him to the ground and wins against Kong. A fair consideration because Kong won in the 1962 film and Godzilla wins the big rematch. The team up at the end against Mechagodzilla was also epic to watch, especially when Godzilla powered up Kong's axe so he could finally destroy Mechagodzilla. This movie also has one likable human character, and that is Jaya. Played by Kaylee Hottle, Jaya does a lot with King Kong via sign language and being able to communicate with him. Jaya is also one of those characters, being able to feel the intimidation that Godzilla does as he approaches the boat in the Tasman Sea. And Jaya does a lot of involvement in Kong's story as he goes through it all. The story is very interesting as it follows neatly on one titan after another titan. We learn that Godzilla is attacking Apex facilities because they are trying to replace him with Mechagodzilla, aka his superior, and get rid of all the titans to reclaim the Earth once more. King Kong, on the other hand, was transported out of Skull Island due to it becoming more dangerous, and needs to help the human characters explore Hollow Earth, while also looking for a new home in there. Awesome visual effects, especially those in the Hollow Earth, to make it feel more livelier, and Hong Kong with all the beautiful lights surrounding the battlefield to show a brightened up fight amongst all the darkness that surrounds the field. The scenery is also set a lot during the daytime instead of nighttime, which thankfully fixed the occurring issue that the Monsterverse mostly had with Godzilla movies. Battles set during the nighttime, where you couldn't really see the monsters. While it's true it does this again in Hong Kong, there's lots of lights on each building like I said, which you can still see the monsters fighting each other. The tone is very fitting for the most part. It perfectly captures Godzilla and King Kong's story very well. The tone being strong for Godzilla's side when he's going on a rampage, and Kong's tone being much more lighter in story, as he's more harmless, and it only changes when he gets into a fighting stance to make his character feel more stronger at times, because he has that I only hurt you if you hurt me type of character. Just like Godzilla. It pays great tribute to the original 1962 King Kong vs. Godzilla, as there are plenty of Easter eggs to be seen here. For example, this is two iconic monsters back on the big screen after 60 years and battling each other once more. There's also other references, like when King Kong shoves his axe handle into Godzilla's mouth, a callback to the original film where Kong shoved a tree in Godzilla's mouth. Even plenty of Showa references can be seen here, with Kong being transported to Antarctica via helicopters. Godzilla showing his more violent side, just like from his original films. And Godzilla and Kong's fight is way more intense, action-packed, and longer than their battle in the 1962 movie. Finally, it had a huge impact on 2021 because it was released during the COVID-19 pandemic. It was released at a time when cinemas were closed and nobody could go to them. So basically, there was almost nothing to watch at the time. Then we got Godzilla vs. Kong. This film became a streaming hit on HBO Max, earned $470 million worldwide, and became one of the most successful films of the year. This film technically is the main reason how cinemas recovered once more, and it would eventually release more movies that would become an even bigger hit in 2021, especially Spider-Man No Way Home and No Time to Die. Negatives. To start with, all the human characters, except Jaya, are forgettable and unlikable. It's like they took the characters from King of the Monsters and made them worse. Madison Russell doesn't have much to offer, aside from knowing about Godzilla's provoke. Many of the characters are not written well, and are pretty generic. And of course, the worst offender is Ren Zurasawa, who originally was going to have a much bigger role in the film, but was cut because of time constraints. Because this happened, Ren is now a generic villain that could have been so much more. There are also too many cutaways to the human characters during Godzilla and King Kong's battles. This isn't really the case for the round one on the aircraft, as when they both battle on it, it mostly just focuses on them instead of the human characters. That's understandable, but the Hong Kong fight and the Mechagodzilla final fight cuts away the human characters during the fights, which are very unnecessary. It repeats the same issue that Godzilla 2014 had. Awesome battles that are ruined by human characters anchoring the action. At least they could have had a pause moment between the characters and Godzilla and Kong. Here's a bit of an interesting negative I also have on this film. Mechagodzilla's design could have been so much better. I like his behaviour, and the overall concept taking great inspiration from other original Mechagodzilla incarnations. But his design looks so weird in this film. It's basically the Ready Player One design, but worse, as Mechagodzilla here doesn't have anything here, aside from generic explosions and beams, etc. He also looks like something from Transformers, the Bayverse versions. I do understand that it's trying to represent what legendary Godzilla is, but for this movie, they could have at least added some chunk on this Mechagodzilla to make his body style at least similar to Godzilla in this film. That's how a Mechagodzilla incarnation is supposed to be like in these films. Godzilla, but mecha. Finally, the music score is very underwhelming here. While there are some good sounding ones like Mega and Hong Kong, The rest are just mostly summed up as background sound filler to fit the scenes. They don't sound as intense, hard feeling, or unique at all like the other Monsterverse films. They just repeat the same notes over and over again. It's nice because it does well focusing on one scene at times, but reusing the same note on a music track is going to get stale and repetitive hearing it over and over again. It does have some great elements to hear in plenty parts of the music score, but they could have done so much more to the music to make it sound at least unique. Godzilla 2014, Kong, Skull Island, and Godzilla King of the Monsters had a much better soundtrack than this, and I wish this took notes from those three. Overall, my final opinions on Godzilla vs. Kong is that, well, it's definitely a movie. It's exciting, fast-paced, and full of action and thrills, but it's ruined due to the awful human character story. The film had some great potential to be one of my favourite Godzilla movies of all time, but with many problems in its way, and not quite as living up to its hype as expected, it's dragged down a bit. Don't get me wrong though, Godzilla vs. Kong is still an excellent film if you're after some kaiju action. I just think it's not quite perfect. Definitely something that I really enjoyed during the COVID-19 pandemic, when I watched it twice. I know that there's plenty more stories to tell with the radioactive lizard and the ape, so let's wait and see whatever more stories the Monsterverse has to tell with these two iconic movie kaijus. What is your opinions on Godzilla vs. Kong? Was it everything you expected? Did it live up to its hype? And how does it rank compared to other installments? Let me know in the comments section below. And also, don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed. And also remember to subscribe if you're new to see more on my channel. Thanks for watching. A hard-hitting addition to the Monsterverse, Godzilla vs. Kong takes its time to set up, and once it does, it hits you hard. Very hard.